The clocks were set to Dame time last night. Where does Dame's historic performance rank all time? Hey, we got a quarterback battle brewing in New Orleans. Can Taysom beat out Jameis for the starting job? And also, why are we asking? And the Brooklyn Nets are moving on to round 2. With that, we say good Wednesday morning, everyone, and welcome to another fine edition of First Things First. Jenna Wolfe. Nick is obviously in mourning over the Lakers last night, which we will get to soon.
Nick?
I don't know if he'll even be here. I don't know. Brandon's here.
What?
Kevin's here. Brandon, we'll get to the Lakers in a second. Your Nets beat my Celtics, buddy. I still love you, though, and I will always love you. Can they do the same thing to the Bucks
I appreciate that. Oh, come on, Jenna. That's why I'm wearing the black and white today. Black and white, black and white. Let's go,
Nets are
Brooklyn.
going down.
Let's
I'm
go.
in. Let's do this.
Who's back? Who's back?
He showed up.
All right, Nick, I didn't want to have to do this, but we got to start with some Lakers Suns.
Oh, you wanted to do this, Jenna.
Here we go.
Been waiting 4 years to do this.
So badly, Nick.
You've
so
been waiting
badly.
years.
No Anthony Davis last night. He's out with that groin strain, and the Suns came out swinging to the tune of a 30-point halftime lead, to a tune of a 30-point win for the Suns. The only dark spot for them, though, Chris Paul did re-injure that shoulder. He had to leave the game. But his team more than carried the load. They won, and the Lakers now sit on the brink of a first-round exit. Here's LeBron after the game.
I don't know. I mean, we got our ass kicked. I mean, it's just that simple. They got to whatever they wanted to get to in this game, and we got to be better, obviously, if we want to force a Game 7. So, obviously, a lot to learn from in this game, a lot to cover. See, what we got to do better going into Game 6. But I mean, they pretty much just kicked our ass. I mean, there's nothing else really to say.
What I'm not going to do, Nick, is ask if you're worried moving forward, because I like to save that juicy question for later. What I will ask you is this. This game, was it more about what the Suns did or what the Lakers didn't do last night?
Oh, it was all of the above. Jenna Wolfe, Kevin Wildes, and Brandon Marshall. Oh, God, I do not look forward to seeing Brandon Marshall's smiling pearly whites this morning. I've got to take this one on the chin, because I think I was more wrong about an individual sporting event last night than I've ever been about any individual sporting event in my life. Everything about the Lakers' performance was pathetic. Every single thing. From the fact of when the pathetic performance started, before the game even started, when they announced the starting lineups, and Frank Vogel said, you know what, we're going to start? A 5-man unit that has never started together, a 5-man unit that has played 0 minutes together ever. Never played on the court together. Let's start it in Game 5 of the playoffs. I thought LeBron would have a sense of urgency, didn't really see it. I thought Schroeder would bounce back from an awful Game 4. Instead, he had quite literally the worst game of his life. I thought the Lakers would understand that Devin Booker at home in this series has been excellent, has been bubbling, waiting for an explosion. Nope, they decided to let him get whatever he wants. He had 18 points in the first quarter, which was 150% of the points the Lakers scored as a team in the second quarter. It was a disaster. Everything about it was terrible. However, Brandon Marshall, as the great English author Thomas Fuller once said, it is always darkest before the dawn. And it is not 1995, and it is not a best of 5. It is a best of 7, and you still must beat this team 4 times.
You're not doing this right now.
So yesterday was terrible.
You better not do this right now.
Yesterday was as bad as it gets. There is no excuse for my misanalysis and for the Lakers' terrible play. However, the series, Brandon, is not over.
Oh,
Brandon, he's owning it, Brandon. He's owning it.
You are not doing this morning. Did you
Doing
not
what?
watch this game?
What?
We were tweeting each other. I know that wasn't a robot tweeting me back. You were up watching the game. The game was over with 5.
Yeah. I sent
Oh my goodness! Wow,
you're blocked, so I didn't see anything.
Can we send a nurse? Can we send somebody to his apartment? I know you're there. You're probably on the outskirts of New York, but send somebody to this man's house. This man is losing it. I was going to take it easy on you, buddy, but you come back in and you triple down. That's what you just did. You had 2 aces and you told him to split it. That's what you did. You know, you had 20. You're like, take it. Take the win. You had the opportunity to get out of it when AD went down, Nick. Please, brother, you understand that this series is over, but you're just too pot committed. Look, here's the deal. It was a little bit of both, Jenna. When you watched that game, I did see a sense of urgency in LeBron coming out. That's why I tweeted early in that game that, man, it looks like he's going for 50. You know, he was pulling up. He was aggressive, you know, not only on the perimeter, but also in the paint. And then he just went cold. And then everybody else never even got warm. On the other side, you had a whole team, a complete team. You had a Book that went for 30. You know, Paul only had 9. Ayton only had 8. But then you had the others that truly stepped up, and they've been stepping up all series, and that's Bridges, Payne, and Johnson. They played phenomenal. They were sensational. So for that reason, that's why I chose this team, because you didn't know what you were going to get out of AD. We talked about this coming in, Nick. We said that AD could potentially make it to the playoffs, but he may not be able to sustain. So whilst I'm disappointed that Nick is tripling down on this Lakers bet.
Well, don't be disappointed. Let's see how Game 6 goes. And Kevin Wildes, you know, people laugh, but Wildes, you know, a staple of my sports commentary sometimes is, you know what happened? Someone played too good. And the Suns, when I see Cam Payne looking like he's in open gym, when I see the Phoenix Suns commit 4 turnovers the entire game, when I see AD, who didn't play obviously, Schroeder and KCP combine for as many points as the old Phoenix Gorilla, the mascot, the famous mascot they had, 0, I say, you know what? Game 6 is going to be better. Game 6 is going to be in Los Angeles. Game 6, the Lakers will be the favorites. So yesterday, I was wrong. I had to just take it, and we will see what the rest of the series looks like. But yeah, what's up?
Stop beating yourself up. Your old buddy Kevin Wildes is going to help you out, because although Brandon wants to pile on you and Jenna wants to take her shots at you, I'm here to support you, because I think you got something 100% right yesterday, and I'm not joking, 100% right yesterday. We said in the last segment of the show, said this is the most important game of DeAndre Ayton's life, most important game of Devin Booker's life, one of the most important games of Chris Paul's life. And you're like, that's right. He's like, here's the thing though, Wildes. They're all just kind of new to the game, minus Chris Paul. It is about the 173rd most important game of LeBron James' life. I was like, that's interesting. That's a good point by Nick. But here's the problem. You were too right for your own good, because they all treated it like just a normal game, where there was such a sense of urgency from the Suns players and the Suns crowd. The Lakers got rolled. And I just want to kill one narrative, because like Draymond was on at halftime. It's like, LeBron did his job. You know what? They got to hit their shots. They missed those shots because Phoenix did a great job playing defense. You can be a step slow, and those guys can hit those shots. Here's just one random play. This is not a play you'll see on any highlights. LeBron's got it. Hey, kick it to the corner for Kuzma. Cam Payne comes from the elbow and closes out. Then Devin Booker basically comes from the baseline. KCP's got some awkward-looking, one-legged floater that's not really a floater. This happened all game, or at least all first half. And when they talk about being aggressive on the defense for the Suns, I want to show you one other graphic, Nick, that I thought was super interesting. LeBron didn't get one free throw. Didn't get it. There was a handful of calls where he put his hands up that he thought he deserved something. But it feels like this is indicative of either him not being aggressive enough, him kind of carrying out his, I need to get guys involved too much, or him not being 100%, and probably a combination of everything. What did you take from him not going to the free throw line at all last night?
Well, listen, I think it's a little misleading because, as you mentioned, I thought he was relatively aggressive. I thought there was a bunch of, or at least 3 separate drives to the basket where he was trying to get to the free throw line and didn't get the call. But I do think that he didn't have the sense of urgency. He played okay. LeBron, that was like a C- game. Everyone else, it was an F game, and the Suns played out of their minds. But the reason that the Suns had the sense of urgency is the Suns understand something that, and we'll see if they can do it, that I had said a long time ago, and you laughed at me, Kevin Wildes, but it's accurate. The Suns or any team playing LeBron, they have to win. They don't have to win 4 out of 7. You have to win 4 out of 6. Because if it gets to a game 7, you're cooked. So the Suns knew in order to win this series, they had to win yesterday. And they did. And they annihilated the Lakers. What, Brandon? Brandon, you think they can beat them? You think if the Lakers win Thursday?
This historical references. No, like you also said, oh, it's the king. He's never lost, you know, in the first round. Like, enough of all of those references from the past, man. It's over. They're cooked. They're done. They're done. They're done.
Okay. I just want to ask, can I just ask this real quick? Just quickly. Oh, Nan.
No, it's over.
Wait,
They're
listen,
done. You're done.
This
segment is done.
We got all morning. We're going to discuss that and what's going on with AD and whether he'll be available for Game 6. We got to head to New Orleans. Taysom Hill battling it out for the starting quarterback job. Fox Bet Sportsbook has Jameis, though, as the betting favorite to be the starter come Week 1. So why are we talking about this? We'll let you know next. First things first.
Worst Laker game of the year, and now
Atlanta with a chance to close it out tonight in Game 5. Take a listen to Hawks forward Clint Capella's trash talk ahead of tonight's game at the Garden.
We can be physical, but we can win games as well. And now we're coming to your home to win this game again. They send you on vacation.
Have you heard about Clint Capella's comments? He said,
Don't care.
They're coming to put you on vacation and...
Don't care. Don't care.
Ian Bagley?
Can I assume that you did hear about them, though, Julius? I know you don't care.
Just heard about it, and I do not care. We're not focused on that. We focus on what we got to do as a team. So when I ask what we got to do, that's great, but why would I give a hell what Clint Capella has to say?
If only he was a little more clear as to how he really feels about it. I don't know. Brandon, how do you feel about it? Clint Capella's comments are blank.
Oh, this is Don King-esque. Like, look, this guy, Don King, could make any fight, any dog fight. He made us believe that it was going to be the biggest fight and it was going to be amazing. It was going to be a spectacle. But look, this series lackluster. I mean, you had the first game where you had Trae Young and the drama between him and the fans. That was cool. Then the second game, MSG was rocking, but it's lacking star power. It's lacking a storyline. So for Capella to keep it going, it's actually great promotion. It's great for the game. I actually like it.
All right, so I think it's warranted, Brandon, because the Knicks' approach has given the Hawks undue confidence. It is beyond stupefying to me that 2 things have not happened to Trae Young in this series. One, that there has not been a foul committed on Trae Young where the commentators are debating whether it's a flagrant 1 or a flagrant 2. The fact that that hasn't happened yet is unbelievable. And if you're like, oh, Nick, that's not basketball. Okay, well, then the other thing is basketball. Make Trae Young defend. Put him in a pick and roll. He's just standing in the corner on Reggie Bullock every defensive possession, not expending any energy, not getting in any foul trouble, not having to guard anybody. So I understand why the Hawks would feel confident. Wildes, I'm going to today's game, not on some media comp tickets, not in the press box, down with the people, with Knicks fan Sam Pepper. The Knicks are going to win tonight, and they are going to finally knock Trae Young down and put a little scare in the Hawks. That's what's going to happen tonight. But until that happens, these are warranted comments, Wildes.
Okay, so I think you're 100% about Trae Young, to the point where on Twitter I had to mute you and Trae Young pick and roll. Like, we get it, buddy. You're on national TV. You don't need to tweet it every 5 minutes. I've got it, Tibbs. You got to put it. I'm like, God almighty, mute. Okay, here's the thing about trash talk. Everyone who's played an organized sport has had some trash talk to them before. The ones that are really effective kind of hurt your feelings. So, and you're like, ooh, that one got me. That one really threw me off the game. This might be, from Clint Capella, the worst trash talk in the history of trash talking. Could you imagine if you were playing a game and someone's like, hey, I'm going to send you on vacation? I'm like, awesome, dude. Where am I going? Sounds great. And that sort of speaks to what Brandon says. Both teams win. If the Knicks get knocked out, it's like, you know what? We overachieved. We're a 4 seed. Tibbs, is going to come in second place. But yeah, go on vacation. I think the Knicks are okay with it. They're playing with house money. Great trash talk. Where are we going? Go on vacation.
That's good.
Sure.
That was good. All right, talk some Taysom Hill now, because Taysom Hill
Jenna.
talked about playing some quarterback full-time yesterday. Oh, to be a fly on Nick Wright's wall when he read this from Taysom Hill. Taysom said, look, at the end of the day, when I first got here and I started doing all this stuff, the answer when I was asked, hey, what's the end goal for you, has always been to play quarterback. I'm a quarterback at heart. That's my mindset. That is really nice when I can tailor all of my off-season program to being as good of a quarterback as I possibly can. Saints open with the Packers at home, then go on the road to Carolina and New England, just to give you guys a little context. So, Brandon, start with you. There's that schedule. Taysom's comments on his off-season are blank.
Look, Jenna, this is a pretty schedule, and I'm sure he's going to be out there on the field, but not at quarterback. This is what he's supposed to say. This is what he's supposed to do this offseason, is work at it, because he is on that roster as a quarterback / tight end / special teams guy. But it's a waste of time. Why is it a waste of time? Because when Drew Brees retired, what did I say? I'm all in on Jameis Winston. All in. Go back to 2019. This is the same take I had months ago. 2019, 30 touchdowns, 5,100 yards. Are you kidding me? With a little dash of Lasix? Nick, I'm all in on Jameis. So Taysom can do anything he wants. You know, he can come in and still do what he did with Drew Brees, but who's going to be leading that team is Jameis. 5,100 yards and 30 touchdowns. Are you kidding me? This kid can play.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to leave the Jameis optimism to Brandon. I am also rooting for Jameis, but he does... When Brandon lists the Jameis Winston stats from 2019, I can't quite put my finger on it, but I feel like there's one important one that he consistently omits. Was it yards per attempt? No. Was it completion percentage? No, I'll figure it out later. But on Taysom Hill, listen, these comments, much like Taysom Hill, are adorable. I'm happy for him. There is, and Taysom Hill has good reason to believe that you can be in the NFL well into your 30s, having never played the position at a high level, and still continue to get the opportunities to do it, because he's watching, like we're watching, what's happening with Tim Tebow in Jacksonville. So I think the whole thing, I think the NFL being like 90% $16 billion business, as Brandon always says, multi-million-dollar athletes, billion-dollar corporations, 90% that, and 10% adult fantasy camp is a fun new wrinkle of the 2020s. So I think this whole thing's adorable, Wilds.
That's a great thought. All right, here's the thing. Taysom Hill. Hey, print is dead, buddy. I don't want to read about it. I want to be about it. Meanwhile, Jameis Winston out here putting together a creativity contest on his workout drills. So you have to step up. I don't know what you want to do. Do you want to bring a tiny little baseball bat and try that? Perhaps that will help your quarterbacking. What else? Do we have any other of Jameis's greatest workout hits? What do we have? I like the one with the pads. Oh, yeah, this is a combo. This is like sort of like the pec deck at the gym, except you're in the water, and you can also do boxing if you get Logan Paul up there to do that. Pec deck, I like that. You can do a reverse pec deck too. And that might be it. I don't know. If we got another one, we can show it.
So you're all in on Jameis with me?
No, we're back to the baseball. I'm all in on.
Are you all in on Jameis with me?
He's all in on Lasix. That's what he's all in on. Wilds, scan the internet for a little weird and wonderful from our national pastime. Clint Frazier jumps out at us. How about a walk-off home run in the 11th inning last night? Yanks needed a win. Yanks got the win. It was a big one for them. But Wilds, what else you got for us?
Well, just one, Jenna, and it's extra weird. Mets Diamondbacks, it's a bench clearing basically nothing. Because Rojas was yelling at Stroman, and it was kind of just an odd event. So anyways, after the game, here's why it started. Actually made sense.
More because I was upset at myself for having 3 bad at-bats against him, and I felt he was pointing that out to me. So, yeah, I wanted to say something.
John Bordeaux.
Okay, that's exactly what happened.
Almost as exciting as the bench clearing ball itself. Back talking the Brooklyn Nets. On to round 2 for Brandon's squad. Will they roll the Bucks like they rolled my Celtics? To be discussed next. First things first on a Wednesday morning. It is on to round 2 for the Brooklyn Nets. Nets easing their way past the Celtics in Game 5. James Harden is a good basketball player, posting his first playoff triple-double as a Net. Good for the win, and that win sets up a star-studded matchup with Giannis and the Bucks. And that series starts Saturday at Barclays Center. Here was the Beard after last night's win.
How quickly, is it tonight? Is it tomorrow? How quickly do you put this behind you and you're like, all right, I'm going to focus in on Milwaukee now?
Personally, myself, I'm thinking about them right now. And just the matchups and, things that they do on both ends of the ball. Obviously, we know how good they are on both sides and their individual talents. Tomorrow we got an off day. And, Thursday, I think we go watch film and prepare for them.
Question, how do these two teams match up? Answer, well, Bucks took the season series 2-1. Giannis and Durant both getting it done on offense, averaging 39 and 34 respectively. That's so many points. Hey, Brandon, who's got the early edge here, Bucks or Nets?
Are you asking me that question? Come on, please, Jenna. I'm
asking you with your head. No,
let's go.
I'm asking you with your head, not your heart. Can you do it? Head, not heart, okay. Brandon. Try it.
Well, listen. Look what I'm wearing. Look what I'm wearing. We win the series. We just beat those boys. So I'm wearing my black and white celebrating. It was amazing. It played out exactly how I said it would all year. I said they have too much firepower on offense. You have 3 guys that can average 25 points. What did you see? You saw them average 84 points throughout this series. 85 points throughout the series. That's the record. You can't find that in the history of the NBA. You got to go back to 1960 to see somebody close, and that was Elgin Baylor, that was Jerry West, and some guy named, excuse me, not being disrespectful, but Rudy LaRusso. They averaged 84 points in the series. So they did exactly what I said they would do, and that's why the Bucks don't have a chance to win this series. Now, it will be an interesting series, Nick. It will be, to me, in my mind, this is the finals. You got a team that can really get it done, but they don't have enough to go the distance. You got, obviously, the reigning 2-time MVP of the league, and that's Giannis. You have P.J. Tucker, who's Mr. Big Shots. He reminds me of, Chauncey Billups at times when the game's on the line. He hits those little corner threes. Chris Middleton, he's underrated, probably the most underrated player in the NBA. And then you have Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday, dynamic on the defensive side, and he's a scary scorer. So it's going to be a series, and they're going to have to earn it. But there's too much offense at the end of the day. You can lock down KD and then Kyrie kill you. You can lock down Kyrie, then James Harden kill you. What James Harden has done this year, this series, is just It needs to be celebrated. The first couple games in the first series, what did he do? He got his guys involved. He made the ultimate sacrifice. This is a scorer, a guy who's ball dominant, and he let KD and Kyrie lead. And then all of a sudden, he turned it on the last 2 games on the scoring side. So absolutely love this matchup for the Nets. It won't be easy, Nick, but this is something to watch because this is the finals.
So I don't know if I agree that this is the finals, but I do think this could end up being the best series of the postseason. And the point Brandon made should not be glossed over. That Brandon said all year, the Nets have 3 guys that can average 25. Well, 3 times 25, that'd be 75 points per game between the 3 of them. In this series, those 3 guys averaged 85, which is the most of any trio in any playoff series of any round in NBA playoff history. So in that regard, Brandon has been 100% correct. So why haven't I bought in on the Nets? All year long, I've been sounding the alarm about their defense. And Brandon came around a bit when the Nets had one good defensive game. I think there was a drawing a blank answer that said defense wins championships. And it wasn't from your old buddy Nick Wright, it was from your old buddy Brandon Marshall. And now that we're through the first round against a team that had one healthy, legitimately good offensive player in Jason Tatum, you look, you say, okay, the Nets defensive rating during the regular season, we all said it wasn't going to be good enough. They would have to get a little bit better. It was 114. What is it in the playoffs? Oh, it's 116. Oh, their defense has actually gotten worse in the postseason. Now, it hasn't mattered because they were playing legitimately with no Jaylen Brown, with a hobbled and then not there Kemba Walker, a bad Celtics team. But it will matter against Milwaukee. So I believe the Bucks have the edge. Brandon gave me great information that I agree with about what a good roster the Bucks have. But Wilds, I want to focus on Giannis. Because the last time we saw Giannis in a playoff series where he wasn't dealing with either Bam Adebayo or Kawhi Leonard, he averaged 31, 16, and 6 on nearly 60% shooting. I think Giannis is going to look the best he has looked in the playoffs since then. Because, A, you're going to have to go up and down and score a bunch against Brooklyn, and B, there is nobody on Brooklyn's roster, forget Garden, that can even form the wall. Like, I guess you could try DeAndre Jordan like you did in the regular season, and Giannis responded to that in the regular season by averaging 40 points per game against this team. So the one part, Wilds, that I will say Brooklyn has a sizable edge in is if Brooklyn has a 3-point lead with 45 seconds left in any of these, call 4-point lead with 45 seconds left. They are the best closeout team in the league because all 3 of their guys are spectacular free throw shooters. You can't get in the foul competition with them at the end of games as you see teams try to do. So that works to Brooklyn's favor. But the defense, the well-roundedness, and the fact that I think Milwaukee's been tested, I think all works in the Bucks' favor.
So here's the thing that I'm worried about, and I'm rooting for the Bucks, but this is what I'm worried about. What if Steve Nash went into the Nets locker room today while they're watching film and said this: not only can we not contain him, we're just going to let Giannis do his thing. If Giannis has been playing like Wilt Chamberlain, literally, we put up Wilt Chamberlain's numbers against Giannis, and they look exactly the same. If he gets 40, so be it. If he gets 45, so be it. If he gets 50, you know what? We'll make a great highlight. But we need to stop. PJ Tucker can't get loose and start hitting threes like Marcus Smart did. We got to contain Chris Middleton, try to keep him in the teens, and try to keep Drew Holiday in the teens. If that happens, Nick, if Steve Nash says, you know what, we can't stop Giannis and we're not going to try. We almost let him punch himself out. We have to stop those other guys. I think that would be a blueprint to beating the Bucks. Do you agree?
Well, the thing is this. I don't know that they can stop the other guys. I just don't. The Nets, when their best 5-man lineup, the one where KD's the only big on the court, Harden, Kyrie, Joe Harris, and Blake. KD, and the underrated story of this postseason, by the way, has been Kevin Durant is playing essentially perfect basketball. KD is somehow showing no signs of any injuries and is doing it on both ends. KD is an excellent defender. No one else in that five-man unit is a plus defender. Harden, if you post him up, is, but that's it. And so even if you're like, no, we're just going to let Giannis get his, but we're not going to let... Who is stopping Drew Holiday? Who is stopping Chris Middleton? If you put KD on Chris Middleton, that can work. So I just think that the Nets have not shown me the ability to get stops. They haven't needed to, because as Brandon's point is, their big three have just been incandescent. But I think the Bucks have too much.
It's simple. It's simple. Too much offensive firepower, and you guys are missing it. I've never seen a great team or a great player go into a game saying, oh, we need to do this. No, what they do is they double down on what they do best, and they impose their will. They say, we're going to force this team to stop us. So who's losing sleep right now? Is it the Bucks losing sleep right now saying we need to stop the big three over there, the guys that just averaged 85 points in the series? That's a record. You got to go back to the 60 to see somebody come close. Or is it the Nets us losing sleep at night saying we got to stop Giannis, we got to stop Chris Middleton, we got to stop Drew Holiday, we got to stop PJ Tucker? Think about that. No, the Nets are not losing sleep. You got KD, Kyrie, and James Harden. We're talking about some of the most prolific scorers the league has ever seen. Forget the league. We got freaking scorers walking this earth that never seen the NBA. You throw these guys out at the Rucker, you throw these guys on any freaking blacktop, and they're going to get buckets. And that's exactly why this team is going to beat them in 6.
All right. Period, point blank, as Nick would say. Time for Nick to hand out NBA playoff medals. How about Devin Booker? He went for 30 in the Suns' blowout win, but the Phoenix Star just missing out on a medal. Nick, who did make your playoff podium today?
Yeah, Booker actually kind of got screwed a bit by how terrible the Lakers were. He didn't have to play much or, try much late in the game, or else he maybe could have had a 45-point game and got on the podium. But he just misses out. Who doesn't just miss out is Nikola Jokic, averaging close to 35 points per game in this series. The game of the playoffs, and I know we'll discuss it here in a minute, last night, Nikola in double overtime, 38, 11, and 9 in a critical series-shifting win in Denver. Silver medal, James Harden. 34, 10, and 10 last night. Whenever it seemed like the Celtics, somehow they're down 7. Somehow they're only down 8. Harden would either score or assist to give the Nets more breathing room. He was excellent last night and helped the Nets cover that 12.5 by the skin of their teeth. But the gold medal.
Yeah, here we go.
One of the single greatest performances in playoff history. As I said, we will get into it in depth in a moment. 55, 6, and 10 with a degree of difficulty on these shots and a critical clutch nature of these shots, the likes of which I don't know that I've ever seen. Broke Klay Thompson's record for most three-pointers in a playoff game, and every single one of them mattered massively. That was the only lucky one all night. Damian Lillard, Jenna, runs away with the gold medal despite the Blazers losing in double OT.
I know. I was just going to say, how do you have a performance like that? You can't win the game. All right, Wilds, that's who made it. Who just missed the cut?
Phoenix down 2. Don't call a timeout. Kia Nurse from the logo. Bucket. Phoenix Mercury win the game. If you're keeping track, this makes 2 Phoenix wins that LeBron had to watch on TV. So that's just a good tidbit for you in Miss the Cut.
Shots fired.
Yeah.
Well, he walked off the court.
We just talked about it. Knicks gold medalist Dame Lillard, historic performance last night, but will the Blazers' loss be the reason Dame leaves Portland one day? We discuss next. First things first. Back here, first things first, with the great Steven Jackson. Good morning, Steven. Can we please discuss last night's Game 5 Blazers-Nuggets? It was Dame time on caffeine. The performance of the postseason by far, 55 points, a playoff record 12 three-pointers, and no help from the rest of his team as the Nuggets win in double overtime to spoil Dame's night and take a 3-2 series lead. Here is Damian Lillard after his record-breaking game.
It don't matter. We lost the game. So, I mean, at this point, all that matters is we can't lose another game in this series. So, we go out there, we play to win the game, and we came up short. So, we going back home. It's a must-win, or else our season's over. And then we got to come back here and win on their floor again. So, I mean, that's what it is.
Dame is big unhappy. We got NBA champ Steven Jackson joining us now, which makes me big happy. Steven, what'd you make of Lillard's dejection after his record-breaking night last night?
What's up, fellas? Jenna, I love you. I'm glad to see you again. You really make me happy to be on the show. You are my favorite. I love you guys
every
too.
Every day, Steven, come on, every day.
You seen that press conference. Dame basically said, how do I get 55 and lose on the road? That's basically what he said.
Right.
You can't have 55 points in the playoffs on the road and lose a game. It boils down to Nurkic. It boils down to cancer. Y'all have to play some defense. He's averaging 35 in the playoffs. If y'all can find some way to stop them, y'all have a better chance of winning the game. For Denver side, Austin Rivers has been great. Michael Porter finally had a big game. But you got to give Austin Rivers his credit. Without having Murray in the lineup, they needed another guy because Gordon hasn't been the player that we expected him to be once he got to Denver. But Austin Rivers has stepped up. But Dame Lillard cannot get 55 points on the road and lose that game. And you saw the frustration all in his face.
So, yeah, and I don't blame him for the frustration. And luckily, the Lakers game was so awful, I think a lot of America did what I did and said, okay, I'm going to turn this one off or change screens and focus on this. And what you saw from Damian Lillard was totally unprecedented. Damian Lillard now has, as far as most threes in a playoff game, the fourth most ever, the third most ever. Second most ever is Klay Thompson's epic Game 6 against Oklahoma City in 2016. And then last night, the most ever. This was the seventh most points ever scored in any playoff game of all time. And what you saw in overtimes, though, Wilds, is what there's a number and there's an image. The number is this: 6 of 8 for 17 points. That's what Dame was in overtimes. 1 of 14 for 2 points. That's what all of his teammates were in the 2 overtimes. And then at the end of the second overtime, Robert Covington, Dame gets him a dunk. He literally misses the dunk. And the next time down, Dame's partner, CJ, Dame kicks it to CJ, and CJ steps out of bounds. And I watched it, Wilds, and I said, Dame, for the ultimate loyal guy, for the ultimate I'm not going to team up, I want to do it here guy, a game like this can stick with you and make you reconsider. Because when you score, when you literally are setting records, when you are making shots to where when you miss, Austin Rivers actually thanked God, put his hands like this and thanked God that you missed. And your teammates are missing dunks and stepping out of bounds, scoring 2 total points on 14 shots in 10 overtime minutes. I do think if you're Dame, you have to say to yourself, what can I do? What more can I do? And do I want to keep running into this wall? Because he was perfect last night, and it wasn't enough. And they weren't playing an all-time great team. It's not like the Nuggets are some unbeatable super team. It's like, they're just playing a good team. And it wasn't enough.
So Stack, I want to ask you this. Because I also, like Nick, have sort of it leaves a sour taste in my mouth to watch a great performance and kind of spin it forward and be a little bit negative. But I also have to be honest. Because when we've worked together for a while, and I felt like your legacy has a lot of different chapters to it. You were known through it like the We Believe Warriors. We know like Pacers, kind of ultimate loyal guy. But when we first started working, we'd be like, an NBA champion, Steven Jackson is here. And you would talk about the Spurs, and you'd have the ring. We'd talk about it all the time. And that is part of a nuanced and a sort of a wide legacy for you. I feel the same way about Dame, that we know that Dame is like the ultimate loyalty guy, and now he's known as an all-time great clutch guy. But I don't think we're ever going to be able to say an NBA champion Dame Lillard, and I want that for him. I don't want to tell the guy what to do. I don't want to wish him out of Portland. I don't want him to blow up the team. But is it wrong for me to say, like, hey, Dame, you probably have to make a move, either pressure the Blazers to make another move or leave? What is your take on him trying to, like, for lack of a better term, chase a championship?
Well, some guys are big on loyalty. Me personally, I would love to see him win the championship. I would love to see him go somewhere else and play if it don't happen here. But, you know, at the end of the day, we only can worry about what we control. And he's in control of that decision. You know, loyalty means a lot to a lot of people, and it means a lot to me too. But at a certain time, you can't be loyal to people who are not loyal to you. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. Dame can say he's loyal to this team, but I guarantee, you know, 10 years from now, his jersey might be retired there, but the loyalty won't be there with that team. You know, they're going to move on and try to find another Damian Lillard. And that's just the truth. I would love to see him a champion. But what a lot of people ain't talking about this game, Wilds, is that second three that sent the game into overtime should have been the and one.
He got
fouled. They should have walked out of there with that win.
Yeah.
He got fouled.
He's right. Good call.
Yeah. Stack, let's stay on this conversation because I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the show. Love all the smoke. And when you watch the show, every time you guys have Kobe, AI, I mean, you had D Wade, you always say, you know, man, this is a real one, a real one, a real one. And so Dame, I think he's considered a real one in your book, right? And so is this real going wrong where this dude dropped 55 points? He's been doing it for years. He's been having these monster games and these monster performances, but they just can't get over the hump. So to Wild's point, you know, I don't want him to go somewhere else and chase championships, but when is enough enough? Is this real going wrong?
Yeah, shout out to Brookville in the Bay. That's where he's from. Dame is definitely a real one. No question about it. He's a real one. I think it's guys like me and you, B, that want to see him win. He's such a great player. You know, he's exciting to watch. He dedicates so much of his life to the game. And the way he plays, he's definitely the most clutch player in the game right now. You know, him and KD. But what he's doing right now is unbelievable, man. And we just want to see him win. I know what it feels like to hold that trophy up. And there's no better feeling in the world after you've given your whole life to something to say that you was a champion, that you were the best at it for at least 1 year. And I know in the back of his mind he's thinking that, but at the end of the day, when your family's taken care of, when you play basketball for a job for your whole life, a lot of things like that don't matter. As long as your family's straight, a lot of people take that into consideration over a championship.
Well, and obviously, you know, he's going to make $500 million lifetime career NBA earnings, or close to it. Like, the money's locked in and he's earned it. And I also do think it's noteworthy because the extension that he has not even kicked in yet. He has a 4-year extension that starts next year. But when did he sign it? He signed it 2 years early. Why? Well, it's a lot of money, but also what had just happened. The Blazers had just made the conference finals. It was the only truly deep playoff run they've gone on since he's been there. And I think in the glow of that moment, he was like, I can stay here and we can win. And they couldn't. Like, it's not his fault. To me, everyone, when people think of LeBron's first part of his career in Cleveland, they think of that final series against Boston. I believe LeBron realized I have to leave the year before. The year before, in a series against Orlando in 2009, LeBron averaged 39, 8, and 8, and they lost in 6. And I think he said, okay, like, all right, I'll play out, you know, the last year of my deal, but It doesn't matter what I do, there is a ceiling. And for Dame, he obviously can't play out the remainder of the contract. It'd be 4 years from now. But I do wonder, unfortunately, when he just came off the greatest game he's ever played and one of the greatest playoff games anyone has ever played, if he doesn't look around and say, that wasn't enough, then what will be? and then he has some tough decisions to make.
Well, I'd love to keep watching Dame, see if the Blazers can avoid elimination tomorrow night. Game 6, that one back in Portland. We're back talking your guy, Nick, LeBron
Everyone's
James
avoiding elimination in Game 6, Jenna. Everybody.
Chances.
It's happening.
Over getting a blown out last night in Game 5. That's next. First things first. What Nick said. Back here with Steven Jackson, and we finally got to it. Stack, we're talking Lakers-Suns Game 5, and Nick is going to stick around this time. We talk about it. Lakers without Anthony Davis, subsequently without any offense. They couldn't hit a shot, as LeBron would say after the game. Suns seizing the opportunity. 30-point halftime lead, 30-point win. How about that? The only dark spot for Phoenix, Chris Paul re-injured that shoulder, and he had to leave the game. But the Lakers lost, and they now sit on the brink of a first-round exit. Here's LeBron after the game.
I don't know. We got our ass kicked. I mean, it's just that simple. They got to whatever they wanted to get to in this game, and we got to be better, obviously, if we want to force a Game 7. So, obviously, a lot to learn from in this game, a lot to cover. See, what we got to do better going into Game 6. But they pretty much just kicked our ass. There's nothing else really to say.
All right, Steven, I can't wait to get your take on it. Do you think last night's game was more about what the Suns did or what the Lakers didn't do?
Everything is not rocket science. They didn't have AD, and that's what it all boils down to. They're a totally different team without Anthony Davis. We all knew that Phoenix was going to come out feeling good. They're at home. They're going to knock down shots, and they're going to make shots at home. But not having Anthony Davis is a big missing piece to them. But this is the biggest thing, and I know they're regretting it now. You should have appreciated Montrezl Harrell from the beginning of the season. You should have been playing him so when Anthony Davis does go down, because he's injured a lot.
That's interesting.
His confidence will still be high. But now they're suffering from treating him like crap and not playing him and not giving him the minutes he deserves all year. He was the sixth man of the year last year. He didn't come to the Lakers to not play. So now you need him. Now his mental is not right. So, and that's how players are. They did a bad job of handling him, and it's coming back to haunt him now because we all know AD is injury prone.
Well, they wanted Andre Drummond, and they wanted to run with Andre Drummond and AD side by side. That's the problem, Nick. You've been talking about that. You got to get Andre Drummond off the court and move AD to the 5. But here's the deal: I'm not going to crush Nick. Nick's been doubling down on this Lakers thing, and he had an easy out when AD went down. And here's what I want to talk about with you, Stack. All right, while we have you here, you got AD. He's been inconsistent all year when he's been healthy. He's been dealing with health issues all year. This is a guy that can go down just like that. You just don't know. He's a tender guy. He's real sensitive. What happens in the locker room, in the NBA locker room, when you're dealing with a guy like this with so much on the locker room? Are you guys looking at him? Are you trying to cheer him on? What is the approach to a guy like this? What's going through LeBron's head?
Well, we got, as basketball players, we understand it's the difference between not caring and injury. AD cares. AD wants to help this team. That's not in question. But you can't really blame him from injury. Injury happens. Some of the guys that I love to watch play, that I love to compete against, careers ended short. And some guys I looked up to, Jonathan Bender, Brandon Roy, and they have no control over that. So. You got to be careful with that, man, because he's one of your best players. You just came off a championship. You know what he means to your team, and you know what he can do. But injuries are sometimes out of your hands.
Well, I think Stack brings up a bunch of really interesting points. And they all kind of tie to, big picture-wise, this Lakers team doesn't know who its best 8 are. And last night, I thought they were just going to say, okay, the old model, Put LeBron on the court with guys that'll space the court, let him try to drive and kick. And when they even tried that, non-LeBron Lakers were 6 of 25 from 3. They still can't hit a damn shot. But you knew they weren't going to try that when the starting lineup was announced, and it was 5 guys who not only have never started together, those 5 human beings have never played 1 minute of NBA basketball on the court together. It was baffling that that's what you're going to start a Game 5 with. Now, it wouldn't have mattered what the starting lineup was once you saw after the opening 2 minutes that the Suns were the more intense team, the more focused team, the sharper team, all of the above. Listen, LeBron was not very good. Everyone else on the Lakers was truly awful. Schroeder scored 0. KCP scored 0. Obviously, AD wasn't even there. The whole thing was a total abject disaster. The silver lining for the Lakers is this. It was their 3rd loss. And the next game is in Los Angeles. And we will see if Anthony Davis plays, if he doesn't. And we will see if Anthony Davis doesn't, if LeBron still has, or if the injury is going to deprive him of it, that extra gear to get to. Because while LeBron was okay to bad last night, it also was not a season on the line intensity level you would have expected. And I think that's in part because this season wasn't on the line. And so all of the above combined to create just a horrendous performance by everyone involved. Coaches, players, everybody. And it's why the Suns were up 30 at halftime. And Jen, I think a lot of America tuned to Blazers Nuggets to watch actually a super compelling game late into the evening last night.
I do want to bring up one thing we saw last night with about 5 minutes left to play. You saw LeBron exit, starting to head for the locker room. I mean, the game was long over at this point, but still, he wasn't there when the game ended. Steven, I'll ask you, what'd you make of that?
Me knowing LeBron, I wouldn't dare say he went to the locker room being a sore loser. We know LeBron's beat up. Me not being there, I'm going to say he went there to get start treatment. But to me, that team didn't look confident before the game. But I think he walked up to get treatment. I don't think he walked up to be a cancer. I don't think he walked up to put the attention on him or to belittle his teammates. I think he went in to start his treatment and to get focused on the next game.
Jack, Stack, I love you. All right. You know, you're a real one. I love the show. But, bro, no, he wasn't supposed to do this. We killed Tom Brady when he didn't shake Nick Foles' hand on after Thursday night football game. After Thursday night football. And now we killed Cam Newton. So we got to do it to LeBron. All right. LeBron James, he did it in 2009 Eastern Conference Finals. Dwight Howard drops 42 points. He walks off. 2018 against the Warriors. So, Nick, you talked about Tom Brady being a baby. Maybe LeBron James is showing us that he's a baby because he's not used to losing. You talked about it yesterday. Oh, LeBron James never loses in the first round. It's never happened. At the end of a series. I understand you don't shake hands, but it's 5 minutes. He left. I understand that, Nick, but he walked into the locker room before the game was over. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
we don't do that.
With Anthony Davis, they both did. They both went there to go. Because they both went there to go get treatment. He lasted. By the way, LeBron lasted. He left with 5. Well, no, we are because it is noteworthy that they both left. We, of course, only talk about the LeBron part of it, but AD was on the bench, and then they both went to the locker room.
Charles Barkley called him street clothes AD.
LeBron left with 5
Charles
with
Barkley
5 minutes
last night at halftime called him street clothes.
Yeah, I know, he called him street clothes. But he was on the bench, and then he left.
So,
yeah, I heard the joke. But LeBron left with 5 minutes left in the fourth. I left with 12 minutes left in the fourth. LeBron made it 7 minutes longer than me. I said, I am out of here. This game is over. I'm going to watch Nuggets Blazers and prepare for tomorrow. Wild. What? The question is, like when Brandon brings up the comp between football players, that is a question about showing sportsmanship to your competition, right? I think the question of when you leave the bench when your team is still playing, it's about, are you selling your team out? Are you know what I mean? Are you leaving your teammates out to dry? Because the NBA playoffs, you have the pleasantries with the opposition at the end of a series, not after game 5 when it's 3-2. So to me, it's very simple. Does anybody actually think LeBron is a bad teammate? Does anybody actually think he's leaving his teammates out to dry? If not, then I will take his word and Anthony Davis's word. They went in to get treatment. They didn't want to be there. Nobody wanted to be there. They left. I don't think his teammates are mad at him about it. Tell me if you think I'm wrong. The LeBron bad teammate. Jack's got something.
I got my finger up like I'm in church when I'm getting ready to go to the bathroom in church. Listen. One thing about it, bro. We know LeBron's not a bad teammate, but one thing we do know, he's a champion. And people always try to critique the star players, but newsflash, star players do what they want. He's not the first one to do it. The camera's just on him. I've been on teams where star players on my teams walked off, and it's not because of their sore loser. Might be treatment, it might be other things, but I'm telling you, when you're the star player on any team, you can do what you want, and that's just what it is.
Okay. Oh my goodness!
I'm sure he went back and got treatment. I have no issue with it at all because I'm a bailout type of guy. I'm reading a book. This book's no good. I'm out of here. Hey, the movies, I don't like this movie. See you later. Hey, your birthday party is kind of like has peaked. I'm gone. I'm out of there. So I'm okay with LeBron saying, you know what? We're down 36 at one point. I'm gone. Now, if I think it's good leadership to send a message to not only everyone else, like, hey, hit your shots. Hey, Andre Drummond, don't bounce the ball off my shin. Hey, Frank Vogel, put a lineup out there that makes sense. But if he's legit just going back, being like, oh, shoot, treatment. Oh, I got to go back. I don't buy that. I buy that he is sending a message to the players and the team. I don't think it's just like, is the trainer available right now? Looks like I should go back. My ankle's picked up.
Well, yeah, obviously he doesn't. Obviously, Brand.
I'll be mad
obviously he doesn't walk off. Hold on. Obviously, if it's if it's a close game, well, he would still be. Let's say he fouled out and it was a close game, so he can't go back in. Obviously, in that circumstance, he doesn't leave the bench area. But Brandon, I just want to ask Brandon, like, is this something as a player that actually bothers you, or do you just think it's like LeBron might be getting part of a pass when other guys wouldn't? Like, or are you actually bothered by it?
What bothers me is how we're talking about it, because this is something that I would have done as a player, but I would have done it understanding that the next day the media would have crushed me for walking off too early. So this is something that I've done before, but let's not sit up here and make an excuse for LeBron James. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair.
All right, well, if this does come down to AD, let's see what he can do in Game 6 tomorrow night. Seems unlikely he's going to go. But we're back talking the quarterback battle in New Orleans. Taysom Hill, can he really beat out Jameis for the starting job? To be discussed next. This is First Things First. Hey, Saturday on Fox, it's one of the greatest rivalries in sports. Sox and Yankees. Yankees and Sox. Or you got Dodgers battling the Braves, Cubs and Giants. Saturday, 7 Eastern on Fox. And the Fox Sports app. Time now for stories to start your morning. Here we go. Little Lakers-Suns Game 5. No Anthony Davis for the Lakers. He was out with that groin strain. And the Suns came out swinging. They were up by 30 at the break. They won the game by 30. The only sore spot for Phoenix, Chris Paul re-injured that shoulder. He had to leave. We'll see how he does moving on. But the Lakers lose. LeBron now sits on the brink of his first ever first-round exit. Here he is after the game.
I don't know. We got our ass kicked. I mean, it's just that simple. They got to whatever they wanted to get to in this game, and we got to be better, obviously, if we want to force a Game 7. So, obviously, a lot to learn from in this game, a lot to cover. See, what we got to do better going into Game 6. But, they pretty much just kicked our ass. I mean, there's nothing else really to say.
Look, Nick, I know you firmly believe the Lakers are still in this. Why do you think LeBron and the Lakers can rally and win this series?
Well, it's very simple to me. And by the way, I should say, if people are just tuning in, I obviously got everything wrong about yesterday's game. I thought the Lakers would win. I thought LeBron would look good. LeBron looked mediocre at best, and the Lakers played their worst game that they've played all season long, and it's the worst playoff game LeBron's been a part of from a team standpoint maybe ever. With that said, here's what it is. The Lakers are favored in Game 6, and Game 6 is at home. So obviously they have to win that game. I think they will. And then the question is, do you trust through hell or high water, no matter the circumstances, that LeBron James is not going to be beaten in Game 7? I do. It's been 13 years since 13 years? Yeah, 13 years since LeBron lost to Game 7, and that when he scored 45 points and they lost in the final minute. So the Suns, I think, know this. I think there was a sense of urgency for the Suns yesterday, oddly, that wasn't there for the Lakers, because the Suns know they got to win this in 6. That the Suns were in the must-win last night. The Lakers were not. At least that's how both teams seem to approach it. Now, I know Brandon thinks that the Suns are flatly the better team, and through 5 games of the series, Brandon appears to be correct. I don't think that's how it will look through 7 games of the series. I don't think the Lakers are going to shoot outside of LeBron 6 for 25 from 3 again. I don't think Cam Payne is going to be the second coming of Skip to My Lou and one mixtape tour days, Ray for Alston. I also don't think the Suns are going to average 1 turnover a quarter against the league's best defense the way they did yesterday. So for all those reasons, Brandon, I think the odds makers in Vegas have it right. I think the Lakers will win Game 6, and then it's a Game 7. And if it's a Game 7, I'm going to go with LeBron.
Well, I'm about to take my weekly check here on Fox, and I'm going to go to Fox Sports Bet, and I'm going to double down on the Suns because it's simple. You know, they don't have enough, Nick. The Lakers, I'm sorry, they don't have enough. You look at what the Suns was able to do. You had Book go for 30, and then you had CP3 only had 9, Ayton only had 8, but the others stepped up. The Payne that you just talked about, Mr. Yep. Payne, Bridges, Johnson, they stepped up, and they've been doing it all series. Guys that you can lean on. But then you look on the other side. AD goes down. We've been talking about this all year. It's the same story. Andre Drummond, Game 4, 5 points. Last night, 7. Schroeder, 8 points. Last night, 10. Matthews, 6 in Game 4. Last night, 5. Gasol went for 12 points in Game 4. Last night, 5. They can't trust these guys. This is all bad for LeBron James, and the Lakers. So for that reason, Wilds, it's over. It's not even going to make it to Game 7. Nick keeps going back to the history of the game, 13 years this, 13 years that. It doesn't matter. He also said that yesterday. He said, LeBron's going to play 40 minutes. He didn't make it to 40 minutes. Yep. LeBron James is going to probably have 30 points. Didn't have 30 points. It is over.
He left early.
Okay, I'm gonna try to kill a narrative here. Because all year, and we can go dig up the tapes, we have heard that this Lakers team not only has enough, but is better than last year's team. Marc Gasol is here. Look who we got on the buyout market. Andre Drummond, who's making like $30 million, but we're only paying 50 cents to. It's a deal of the century. And we got the 6th man of the year. Get rid of playoff Rondo. See you later. Don't need you anymore. Bring in Dennis Schroeder, who gave us 0 points. So, Nick, I think there's this emerging narrative that LeBron has to put this team of guys that he found at Venice Beach on his back and drag them through. That is not the narrative that's been all year. AD went down, but this lineup should be enough. And one final thing, I'll throw another little stat out for you. Just one little thing. That just says pile on Nick Day. Let me continue it. The other thing is here. LeBron, are we going to see uber aggressive LeBron? And we look at his free throws. Didn't go to the line at all. And granted, there was a few calls that he could have gotten that he didn't. But hey, if he was aggressively going to the line, he would have gotten going to the hole, he would have gotten to the line a few times. He's averaging only 3 attempts in this playoff. So what is your take on LeBron not being wildly aggressive at the rim and the fact that all of a sudden this Lakers team is built poorly when all year we were saying how genius Rob Pelinka was?
Well, I'm not saying it's built poorly. I haven't said that. I'm saying Schroeder, who I've liked all year, has scored 0 points last night and has not been the same guy since returning from COVID. KCP, who I think has been incredibly valuable, scored 0 points last night. I don't love some of the lineups they're running out there, but it doesn't mean I think the roster's broken. I think the Lakers will win Thursday. And if they win Thursday, Jenna, then it's a game 7.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I was wrong yesterday. We'll find out.
And who do you focus
I think
on
they
game
win
7?
Thursday, and I don't think AD, Schroeder, and KCP combined for 0 points again.
All right, quick take your pick out the door. Mavs, Clippers. That series tied at 2 apiece. Game 5 tonight. Brandon, who wins?
I think all of my predictions are just perfect right now when we're talking about NBA playoffs. So, yes, the Clippers win tonight, and they win the next game, and they move on.
Wilds?
Wow. I'm going with my large adult Slovenian son, Luka Doncic. Shout out to Slovenia.
Brandon's right that right now all his picks look great. 1 week ago, the pendulum had shifted the other direction. I think they shift back starting tonight. Mavs win.
See you tomorrow.